ladies and gentlemen, participants of the IPA 2025, welcome back to Nusantara Hall. We would like to kindly invite you to please be seated. We'll start our plenary session right now. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we invite everyone to please be seated as we'll start our plenary session right now. And we have a very intriguing theme this afternoon, which is how to leverage Indonesia's competitiveness in the investment landscape of energy. So once again, please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin the session of the plenary this afternoon with very valuable insights and meaningful discussions. So let us now move forward in our agenda, and we invite you to turn your attention to the screen for a short video presentation, which is a prelude to our first plenary session.
Accelerate oil and gas production for achieving energy resilience. Pemerintahan baru Presiden Prabowo Subianto mencanangkan migas sebagai penopang utama kebutuhan energi nasional. Sektor ini dianggap berperan penting dalam menciptakan ketahanan energi untuk menopang pembangunan Indonesia. Untuk mewujudkan hal tersebut, pemerintah berupaya meningkatkan target produksi migas di masa depan. Upaya tersebut sangatlah memungkinkan karena masih ada potensi migas yang besar. Di sisi lain, dalam 3 tahun terakhir, kolaborasi antara pemerintah dengan pelaku industri hulu migas telah membuahkan hasil positif terkait revisi aturan growth split dan carbon capture storage. Pemerintah juga berinisiatif dengan menerbitkan Kepres Percepatan Hilirisasi Migas. Sebanyak 26 kontrak kerjasama wilayah kerja migas juga berhasil ditandatangani sepanjang 2020-2024. Di saat bersamaan, sejumlah proyek strategis migas menunjukkan perkembangan yang baik. Terdapat beberapa lapangan migas dalam tahap final investment decision. Secara umum, Indonesia berada pada posisi 41 dari 141 negara di dunia dalam Upstream Competitive Index 2024 versi Wood Mackenzie. Dengan demikian, Indonesia akan menghadapi persaingan ketat karena negara lain juga berupaya mendongkrak daya saingnya. Malaysia dan Angola misalnya, fokus pada insentif fiskal seperti tunjangan pajak investasi hingga pengurangan tarif royalti. Mereka juga mendukung penerapan teknologi carbon capture storage dan kegiatan eksplorasi yang berdampak besar. Oleh karena itu, Indonesia juga perlu terus meningkatkan daya saing industri migasnya. Sebab kebutuhan investasi migas di masa depan masih sangat besar. Melalui kolaborasi yang solid, Indonesia bisa mempertahankan posisi sebagai negara tujuan investasi migas. Hal ini sejalan dengan misi pemerintah dalam mewujudkan ketahanan energi, mendorong pertumbuhan ekonomi dan kesejahteraan masyarakat.
All right, thank you very much for watching the video as a prelude to the first plenary session this afternoon. And ladies and gentlemen, for every dialogue or discussion session on the plenary, would like to invite your participation as well. So please take your participation in the Q&A session that will be happening right after the discussion on the stage. So you are invited to submit your questions by scanning the QR code as displayed on the screen and simply select the question box and fill in the question that you would like to ask to any speakers that will be presented on the stage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our first session of the plenary. We're now entering the session, a candid and forward-looking discussion on Indonesia's position in the global energy investment landscape, highlighting progress, addressing key challenges, and exploring actionable strategies to enhance long-term competitiveness. Taking the theme, enhancing Indonesia's long-term competitiveness in global energy investment scene. And to lead this important dialogue, we are joined by a seasoned expert specializing in energy strategy and upstream trends across Asia Pacific, a trusted advisor and frequent voice in major industry forums. Ladies and gentlemen, please give hands as we welcome to the stage our moderator for this session, Vice President of Upstream and Corporate Harwood Mackenzie, Mr. Andrew Harwood. Please come on the stage, Mr. Harwood. You may take it away.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Bapak, Ibu, for joining us today for this opening plenary session. I know there may be some confusion. This session was originally scheduled for tomorrow, but the industry we work in and operate in, we need to be flexible, we need to be adaptive, we need to be resilient. And so I think the fact that we have a fluid schedule reflects where we're at and what we need to also try and do within this industry. The objective of this session is to present an honest and reflective discussion on where Indonesia is positioned in the investment scene, discuss achievements, discuss further regulatory and business environment improvements, and highlight some of the innovative approaches to provide actionable insights that can help Indonesia secure a competitive edge and attract long-term investments in its energy sector. Indonesia's oil and gas sector has made impressive strides forward in recent years, with fiscal enhancements and regulatory improvements leading to major new investment decisions, an uptick in exploration acreage awards, and exciting new discoveries. And during this afternoon's panel, we're going to dive into what has led to this uptick in fortunes and also find out from our panelists how Indonesia can maintain this positive momentum. So let me welcome our panelists to the stage by reading out a brief biography of their position and achievements. First of all, I'd like to welcome Roberto Daniele, Managing Director for ENI Muara Bakau. Mr. Roberto has been appointed as Managing Director of ENI Indonesia since October 2022. Please. With a background in geoinformatic engineering, he has 29 years experience in the oil and gas industry, starting his career in the reservoir and petroleum area.
You could discount to 20 or 22, not 29.
Okay, 19. Mr. Roberto has worked his way up in various strategic positions in several ENI subsidiaries worldwide. And having worked in Russia, Nigeria, and a number of other challenging places, he's very much at home in Indonesia and he mentions Indonesia as his paradise earlier in the green room. So he's going to be a great panelist today. Next up, I'd like to welcome from Mubadala Energi, Adnan Bu Fateem. He is Chief Operating Officer for Mubadala Energi. Adnan is responsible for all aspects of operations across Mubadala Energy's operated and non-operated business, with over 20 years of diverse experience in the energy sector, including exploration, field development, growth projects, reservoir characterization, and research. Adnan joined Mubadala Energy in 2010 and has held various positions from exploration manager, lead geologist, and director of exploration, leading the integrated functional development of exploration and digital data management processes and capability across the global portfolio. Please welcome Adnan Bu Fateem. Next, joining me, please welcome Kathy Wu, Regional President for Asia Pacific Gas and Low Carbon Energy for BP Indonesia. Kathy, where are we? Oh, Kathy leads BP's gas and low-carbon energy business in Asia-Pacific since 2022, covering Indonesia, Australia, and Japan. Previously, Kathy served as Managing Director of BP's gas and low-carbon energy business in Australia. Kathy has many years of experience with BP and Amoco, occupying various senior roles across strategy and planning, commercial, business development, and general management in BP's businesses in the US, the UK, China, Australia, and Indonesia. Next to join us on the stage would be Mr. Yuzaini Mohammed Yusof, President Director for PETRONAS Indonesia, and of course a former IPA president, so he's well versed in what we're trying to achieve today. Yuzaini is the President Director for PETRONAS Indonesia, where he has steered both the upstream and downstream growth strategies. With over 2 decades of experience in the energy sector, he's been instrumental in securing new blocks, optimizing value, and driving industry leadership, earning him consecutive terms as the president of the Indonesian Petroleum Association, and solidifying his position as a key influencer in the region's energy landscape. Next up, I'd like to welcome Pak Awang Lazuardi, Director of Development and Production at Pertamina Hulu Energi. Pak Awang has an education, a BSc in chemical engineering. He has previously held roles as the Vice President for Operations and Production at PHE, as President Director for Pertamina EP Cepu, and we welcome Pak Awang to the stage, and we look forward to his insights into the National Oil Company of Indonesia. And last but by no means least, I'd like to welcome Mr. Wang, President Director for Petrochina International Jabung. Mr. Wang became President Director of Petrochina International Jabung in November 2024. Prior to this role, he served as the Chief Finance Officer of CNPC in China, the Middle East, and Iraq, including Petrochina Hafalia. Mr. Wang also brings international experience from his time at Deloitte, Canada, Irian Petroleum, and BP Iraq. So that completes our lineup today. I'm going to take my place on the stage, and then we'll get on with today's discussion. Now, as I mentioned in my opening address, today we really want to dig into some of the key successes that we've seen over the last couple of years that have driven this increase in activity and I guess the positive momentum that the Indonesian oil and gas sector has found itself at the moment. I think we also want to be honest and open and highlight some of the areas where we need continued support, we need continued enhancements and continued improvements if we want to maintain that positive momentum. We're going to touch on some of the recent exploration successes. We're going to touch on some of the potential developments that companies are now targeting and looking to monetize some of that exploration success. And we'll also try and dig into some of those longer term opportunities that Indonesia has as it targets greater energy resilience and as it continues to compete for exploration in a world where we are seeing sort of capital constraints, but can Indonesia continue to attract that investment? Now, I'm going to start off on the exploration topic, and I'm going to start off with our sort of resident rock star here from an exploration perspective, Mr. Roberto Daniele. Regularly, he and I feature very highly in Wood Mackenzie's sort of ranking of the world's greatest explorers. And you've really put Indonesia back on the map in terms of a high-impact exploration destination. So the first question is really around, can you share with us what have been some of those critical factors that have led to the success, Eni's exploration success? And also, how has the improving environment in Indonesia, how has that sort of supported and played a role in some of those successes that you've had over the last couple of years?
It's working. Sorry. Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, as usual, we have issues with the speakers, and it's quite. Maybe we need to talk a little bit louder, I believe. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure again this year to be here. It's my third time, and many things have changed in the last 3 years, I would say. Yes, from the exploration point of view, I thank you very much for recognizing Eni performances. Yes, it's a fact. Eni is performing very well in the last, I would say, 10 years at least. Of course, there are some secrets which I will not tell the audience. No, I'm joking, of course. I mean, it comes from experience. It comes from willingness to take some risk. It comes from the willingness to look in a different way, to be open-minded and flexible. Just to give an example, you know, passing from, it's things that everybody does, but we specialize in recently, let's say, in the last years, more from stratigraphic traps instead of normal traps. Using in-house resources, such as our software, our proprietary software. Everybody's aware Eni has also invested a lot in supercomputer. We have the fastest computer in Europe and the 5th in the world. It's been recently upgraded to 600 petaflop, which is something difficult to imagine. It's something like 600 million billion operations per second. Of course, that's a great machine. It's like having a good Ferrari, but you need to be able to drive it as well. We made, again, our software, our people is extremely expert in that, and results are there. Everybody can see the results. Back to Indonesia, I can easily say that today Indonesia is the first country in terms of exploration. We will drill something like 10 wells in the next 5 years. It's not just a dream. It's always easy to talk about the wells which you will drill in 3 or 4 or 5 years, but in reality we will drill 3 wells, which is like 30% this year, starting from July. And we are just coming out from a very successful campaign done last year, end of 24 actually, where we discovered Gang North. So we are really looking at exploration deeply, and we believe that we may see other important discovery which will contribute to the production of Indonesia. Actually, I would also say that we are lucky. I mean, we look for it, but we are also lucky. I mean, all our exploration is nearby facilities, meaning that if we discover, we can put in production in less than 3 years. It's actually what we are doing with the Gang North. We just had a discovery in October 24, and we have already done the plan of development approval. We are already in tendering phase. We have already identified all the long lead items which has to be purchased. So things are moving fast. So we are lucky. We are in an area where we have our facilities. We have the Bontang plan for the LNG. So it's a quite nice area, big potential from exploration point of view. So hopefully we will make the best out of the drilling of the 3 wells we have. We will also start a very big campaign of 3D seismic acquisition in November for something like 10,000 square kilometers. So we are really keen in continuing and in the exploration activity.
Yeah, I mean, for a company that some consider one of the top explorers in the world to have highlighted Indonesia as its #1 country for exploration, that's a fantastic achievement for Indonesia in terms of what it's done to attract exploration investment. Moving on to Adnan, in terms of like Mubadala Energy's position in Indonesia, can you share a little bit about where that sits within the wider sort of portfolio, but also, you know, what is it about Indonesia that sort of attracted Mubadala to this part of the world and to have similar sort of exploration success?
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good afternoon
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here in the IBA. I think it's my third or fourth time, and every time I come over here, we can see and notice the progress the team are making on ground. So well done to everyone's contributing into this beautiful convex. Now I'm feeling jealous because he said they are going to drill 3 wells this year, so I'm looking to our country manager here. So I will ask him how many exploration wells we are drilling in the coming 2 years. No, Indonesia is a very important and strategic market for Mubadala Energy, strategically positioned at the core of our portfolio, current and also in our future portfolio. It's strategically aligned seamlessly with our strategic vision and to be a gas-biased weighted company and to play a vital role in the global energy ecosystem and also in the energy transition. We've been in Indonesia for over 12 years, and we have a track record of delivering reliable and safe gas to support Indonesia energy priorities. And we are also so proud of what we have achieved so far, and our safety track record, we are talking here about 12 years with 0 LTI, 4,200 days with 0 LTI, more than 7 million man hours, 0 LTI, and this is something we feel so proud of, and we would like really to continue. Our next chapter of the story is about exploration, appraisal and development. I think everyone's are aware of our current position in the Andaman. We started the activities back in 2022 with our first discovery in the Andaman 2 with our partner Harwood, and followed by 2 significant discoveries in the South Andaman, Tangkudu and Layaran. In total, we have discovered 10 TCF in the Andaman Sea, which is a significant discovery and finding, and it's also, from our perspective, it's a play opener. And we are so proud to see many IOCs currently, they are looking to the Andaman area, and we have heard about the GSAs being signed surrounding the discovery. Where we are in terms of the developments, we are accelerating, developing one of the discovered resources, which is about 70 kilometers from North Sumatra in the offshore. And we are trying to support the government and supply domestic gas to fulfill the gas requirement in the North Sumatra. But the bigger picture, it's an LNG game, and we are looking really to accelerate the development of the domestic and also LNG. We are targeting to have our final POD submitted next month or towards end of next month, with an FID target mid of next year and first gas in 2028. And in parallel also we will progress the study and the analysis to go full-fledged LNG for the other remaining discoveries.
Great. So it feels like the Indonesia's sort of subsurface potential, the prospectivity is there, but maybe a question for Pak Yus. Petronas successfully building a portfolio in Indonesia. You have development projects, you have producing projects, you've also recently added some more frontier exploration acreage. The subsurface potential is there, right? In terms of the other critical factors when it comes to building a case for exploration investment, what in Petronas's view are some of those key elements that need to be in place?
Thank you, Andrew, for the question. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, selamat siang everyone. It's always good to be here, talking to everyone, IPA audience, all the everyone in the oil and gas industry, whether you are the stakeholders, whether you are the operators and the contractors, business partners. This is a very important topic today, and I think when we talk about Indonesia, Petronas, we look at Indonesia as our key market in our international portfolio. So we are operating on the upstream business, we are operating in 11 countries, and we always see Indonesia as a lot of potential, and we've been here for the last 20 years. And we see a lot of steady growth, especially in the last 3 years. And when I'm here, starting end of 21, and we've signed a lot of contracts. I think we coming in and we see potential, especially after COVID, right? And then we see picking up of the oil price, and also you look at the demand of gas around the world and also in Indonesia. And we see that that's why we are expanding. We're signing exploration block at our East Java, North Ketapang, nearing to our current operation, and also we discovered resources in North Madura too, and now we are planning to develop the field, Hidayah field, expected to be first oil in early 2027, which we are looking forward to expedite it and shows our capability and looking at East Java as a hub. And as you witnessed just now, Petronas, we signed our GSA, HOA for the gas. We see that East Java, West Java is the demand center for the gas, and we see the demand is there, and we are looking into continue to put our effort in the East Java area, with some signing of a new PSC and exploration. And we plan to drill exploration well end of this year. We just awarded a long-term rig with a very good term. The DCR is very good. I think that will be the benchmark for the industry, for Indonesia especially. I think that will spur a lot of investment in Indonesia, looking at the current things that happening. So apart from that, as mentioned by Andrew, we are looking also at the frontiers. I think the last 2 years, SKK Migas and Migas has been promoting a lot of blocks, right? And focus area on the frontiers, and how else can we grow in that area. And we talk about some of the why I think it has been very prolific in terms of the activities. I heard that we already have, like, in Indonesia, joint studies, about 20 of them. And Petronas right now is participating in maybe 1/3 of the GSA, and we are looking into more areas that we can explore with our partners, right? And I think apart from the subsurface potential, there's a lot of area that is still undiscovered. We also look at the current situation for the last 3 years. You can see that fiscal and regulatory environment has changed. A lot of, I think the government have opened up with a lot of opportunity for the operators, for the partners to look into how can we expedite projects, as mentioned by Roberto and Adnan about in Andaman and Kute. And I think the Eastern Indonesia is a place where we need to go more and look at in depth the area and how to develop it. And we have a support on the fiscal term. I think, well, everyone knows about all this, the profit split that is improved in terms of the risk base. When it's exploration, high risk, then it's government willing to open more, increase the splits. I think that's helped. And also you can see that it's all in the news, that the demand for gas, especially for Indonesia, is increasing for the next 10 to 15 years. So we want to be in a strategic position in order for us to deliver gas to the market. I think Petronas, as one of the leaders and experienced in LNG, we've been operating LNG onshore LNG plant in Malaysia, and we are also building. We already built 2 floating LNGs that is operating right now. And also we're building the next one for our Eastern Malaysia area. And I think that is also a way for us to show our commitment that we want to grow in Indonesia. And I think one of the interesting factors as well is you have a lot, I think recently we heard that our President Prabowo mentioned about the success of the Natuna South Forel and Terubuk, where the project has been given an incentive, and also the local participation is done by a local operators with the support, and is being done in Batam, so that we have a lot of skill, capabilities, and also support services in Indonesia. And now we know that Batam is one of the area where a lot of activities coming in. We have support from the contractors, service providers, and also right now with the relaxation of local content. I think that is a welcoming gesture as well by the government, that we as industry, we can propose something that is more efficient, right, cost-effective matter with the current situation where the geopolitics and the issue with tariffs and supply issues around the world. I think that is very important to build that access to capability, to support services and everything local around here. I think that is something that we need to harness more, and with the support from the industry, I think that will be important for us to build the market over here in Indonesia.
Thank you. I think that point around the supply chain gearing up to be able to take on a lot of this new activity that's coming the way of Indonesia, that highlights some of those spin-off benefits or ancillary benefits that Indonesia as a country can capture if it can continue to attract upstream investment. The supply chain, that's going to provide jobs, going to provide capabilities. I think that's a very important sort of point to highlight. Kathy, I'd like to ask you, we've heard a lot about gas as well. That's a sort of key theme of the discussion that we're having today. The Tangguh LNG plant is a key supplier of Indonesia's overall gas production. Some of that gas is now not only being exported, but also being used in country. And BP and its partners have recently committed significant investment in an expansion or prolonging the life of that plant. Can you sort of tell us a little bit about how BP are viewing the gas outlook in Indonesia and maybe the wider Southeast Asia region, and why it's important that we continue to support these major investments in new gas supply?
Okay. Hello everyone. Selamat siang. It's great to have this opportunity to have this dialogue. Yes, I think strategically, we think Asia is where strong economic growth, population growth in energy demand, and while we wanted to make sure energy security and energy transition at pace. So in this strategic context, gas and LNG, especially in Asia, we believe is a very important energy source for decades to come. Yeah. At our corporate level, BP, our CEO announced a fundamental strategy reset just a few months ago. And in order to move our energy transition at pace with what the world would demand in terms of energy sources for today and for tomorrow, we would like to continue to strengthen our resilient hydrocarbon business. Yeah, so Indonesia, which is a country which has significant resource potential, is an important part of our global portfolio. So Tangguh LNG in Papua Barat is our flagship asset, and now currently over a third of Indonesia's natural gas supply is coming from Tangguh. And in the past investments, together with a flagship PSM project that we have just FID last year. We, together with our partners, we have invested almost 25 billion US dollars into the country, and we continue. We are, long-term standpoint, Indonesia fits well with our strategy. At the same time, all of the investors are very much focused on investment returns, especially for our upstream business is a high capital, high risk, and long duration business. Yeah, whether we're looking for new resources near existing hub is the ILX, infrastructure-led exploration, or starting in a brand new field, greenfield exploration, we really need government support. And so, because from a global portfolio standpoint, every single dollar coming to Indonesia, we have to compete within a very tight, very competitive global frame. So I agree with my fellow panelists. Over the recent years, government of Indonesia has made a lot of great strides to make Indonesia an attractive place to invest. At the same time, to reverse the production decline and to reach our production goal the country has. From natural gas standpoint, almost doubles from where we are today. A lot more work needs to be done. And so what do investors really look for in this high capital, high risk, and long cycle time business? Sanctity of contracts, stable fiscal regime, and speed. Cycle time directly translates into returns. And for some of the projects, they're especially more difficult. So sometimes they might not have the scale, they might not be easily developable. So in a targeted way, government incentives to help the project get started is very important. Yeah, so I think longer term, Indonesia has a lot of potential, and Indonesia and Asia is the right place where we supply and discover new gas resources, especially natural gas, in which plays a very important role in the energy transition. From industry standpoint, we are very appreciative of the progress we've made in recent years, and let's continue to really maximize Indonesia's potential and to make Indonesia a very long-term, competitive, and very attractive energy source for Asia and for the world.
Thank you, Kathy. We've talked a lot about exploration and gas developments, and now I want to bring in certainly Pak Awang and Mr. Wang Li. More on the, I guess, on the oil development sort of side of things as well. You know, Indonesia has, I guess, an oil deficit in terms of its demand versus supply. So part of that energy resilience story is going to be really important to also target sort of the improvement in oil production, boosting oil production. Pertamina, obviously involved in the Rokan development, a huge source of supply for Indonesia, but a project that will continue to need investment, will continue to need fiscal support in terms of helping increase production. Pak Awang, in your view, or in Pertamina's view, what do you see as some of the key obstacles that could be unlocked that would help drive new investment, particularly from a liquid or an oil production perspective?
Okay. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, ladies and gentlemen. It's to be honest, to be honored to be here to talk with you all. And first of all, that I would like to share that again that the Pertamina as a SOE, we have important role to support the government in terms of energy resilience, to support national economic growth. And And for your information that currently Pertamina is producing oil and gas is about 70% of national oil production and also around 37% of gas production. And then to run our operation, we have many development projects. And then you know that the challenging right now is that our asset mainly is a major asset, not only the reservoir but also the facility. That means that that is the challenging to maintain the production, to maintain the baseline, but also at the same time we have to continue growth. And then we conduct the exploration for ILX and also the remote area exploration. With that operation, this year we're going to drill about more than 800 wells for development, and then we also currently running several development projects, brownfield and also the greenfield. And then, as we are aware that currently the situation is very challenging, the reserve is very challenging. That means to maintain the project is very economic, also challenging. The timeline, also the reserve that we discover is very challenging, very important for the economic of the project. That's why the support of others is very important. The responsibility for the energy resilience, not only the responsibility of us who are working in the oil and gas industry, but it must be understood by other stakeholders. This is responsibility for all. That's why the support for other stakeholders is very important for us. For example, that thanks that currently government is very proactive to support the project, and also there are several simplify of regulation, but still there are some areas for improvement. For example, that permitting system, because of some of our permitting system is contrary with other interests. So that means that our expectation that government very supportive to make more simple permitting system, and then make ease of doing business for oil and gas is very good. And we look forward that, and hopefully that in the near future, there will be more simple permitting system and also regulatory streamlining to support our project, because of the timeline and also the price of crude is very sensitive to the project economic. Thank you.
It's now probably a good point to bring in Mr. Wang around PetroChina's efforts. You know, a lot of experience from back home in terms of technology and the skills and the environment that's required to make enhanced oil recovery or to boost recovery from more mature resources. Can you share a little bit about some of the technologies that you might be employing, but also, you know, what are the supporting factors that help you invest in that technology, particularly in Indonesia?
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So thanks for giving me this chance to speak here. So while we spotlight often shines on new frontier exploration or large gas projects, at PetroChina, we believe that one of the most immediate and impactful opportunities to strengthen and improve the oil production in Indonesia of the energy resilience lies in the optimization of the existing production field, particularly oil. So PetroChina entered Indonesia in 2002 years, and we are very proud to operate in Indonesia for over 2 decades, especially the Jabung oil field in Jabung province. We managed to maintain the oil and gas production equivalent to over 50,000 barrels per day for more than 19 years. So we believe with the right strategies, all of the old, mature oil field assets still hold significant potentials. In Jabung, we are pursuing several approaches to sustain and even boost the production. The first one, the most important, is the enhanced oil recovery, We call it EOR. We are conducting chemical injection trials and use closely monitoring the data to evaluate the sustainability. As you all know that in China, we have many old, mature, and big, giant, declining oil fields. So PetroChina, I would say that we are one of the most, have the most advanced technology and most of the experiences in the EOR projects. And we are ready and willing to share and use these technologies in Indonesia. But EOR implementation is complex and capital intensive, but it can meaningfully extend field life and recovery rate. The second is the production optimization through digital monitoring and real-time reservoir surveillance and predictive maintenance. We are reducing the timeline and optimizing production on a well-by-well basis. And also, the third is a step-out exploration within existing block, even within mature PSCs like Jabung, 20 years old oil field. Small-scale step-out drilling around existing infrastructure often can offer competitive economics with shorter cycle times. Like the last year, we have finished a very successful exploration well, NEB Base 3. And not just how many reserves we have discovered, but most important, it's a breakthrough discovery. We find oil and gas in the basement layer. This is the first time discovery in Indonesia. Another key to long-term competitiveness lies in the operational excellence, particularly in mature blocks. This is also an area where Indonesia can demonstrate global leadership. At PetroChina, our work in the Jabung block shows that even aging field can continue to deliver value when supported by the first is that continuous investment in subsurface understanding. For example, in 2023, we have successfully conducted 3D and 2D seismic surveys, reaffirming the potential for further development, and the results are promising. The second is smart deployment of technologies, including any new technologies we have. And third is strong coordination with partners and stakeholders. At the beginning of this year, we held a maximize oil recovery effort workshop with all of our partners, including PetroChina, Pertamina, PETRONAS, Indonesian, our partners GPI and RETG. We have successfully have this workshop, and within the help of the partners, we do a well-by-waste analysis and increase our production significantly. And to truly unlock these opportunities, operators, we think we need strong and consistently regulatory support, especially in we believe in the three key areas. The first is commercial incentives. As we all know, like the EOR project and the brownfield development for old mature field often requires very high upfront investment and with a very longer payback period, especially EOR. Sometimes if you want to do the chemical injection, to do it economically valued, you have to build a chemical plant in Indonesia. So incentives, commercial incentives such as flexible fiscal terms, investment credit, or accelerated depreciation, as long as the incentive flexibility, stability will be the key enablers. The second is streamlined approvals, faster and more coordinated process for example, like POD revisions, facility upgrades, and pilot project approvals, as well as like the permits, forest permits, many permits. The streamlined approvals also can greatly help accelerate our investment activities and increase the production. And technology collaboration, including the public-private partners for piloting new technologies, including CCUS and AI-driven reservoir monitoring, can de-risk innovations that benefit the whole industry. So in short, we believe mature field still matter a lot. With the right attention, the mature oil field can serve as reliable backbones of natural petroleum and production, while new projects, waiting for new project coming online. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I think the application of sort of innovative technologies and approaches is clearly paying off for PetroChina, and that's supporting Indonesia's energy resilience. In terms of innovative approaches, I'm gonna come all the way back to Roberto on the end there. In terms of E&I globally has had a lot of success, really accelerating lead times, really pushing the boundaries, pushing the limits of how quickly you can take a discovery from that initial success to development and production. And you've recently had success with the Maracas East field being brought online. You've been around the world, E&I have had success globally. Are there things that can be applied or lessons that can be learned from some of that success that E&I has had and then can be applied in Indonesia in terms of streamlining things, how to move quicker, move faster?
Yes, and actually we used to say that we need to accelerate projects, but now it's becoming a sort of standard, so you cannot accelerate projects. So yes, it's true. I mean, in the last years we had some successful stories, starting from Zohr in Egypt, which went in production in 2 years after discovery. Ivory Coast is the same. And I would say we are doing exactly the same movie and story in Indonesia as well. So it's somehow becoming a sort of standard, and the expectations are very high. Now, yes, we started, let's say, 15 months ago, more or less. We had some milestone, like the discovery of the Gang Nord, of course. Then we also had the acquisition of the IDD assets. To cut it short, we managed to have 3 plans of development comprising of 5 fields in less than 10 months, which is amazing, honestly. I mean, even for E&I, we never did that. So it means that it's possible. And of course, this is bringing expectation higher and higher. Now, the fact that it's possible, and of course, this has to be done with the full support of the authority. I mean, I need to thank XKK Migas and Migas for all the journey we've done together. But beside that, for the benefit of everybody, it's possible, so we can do it. Now, we have done it basically on the willingness of the people and the determination of the management, the determination of the authorities. I believe that this can be even structured so that everybody can achieve these results. So it should be probably, I mean, just to see what we have done and to structure it in a way that everybody can also do. There are things which you have to do in parallel. There are things which you need to do ahead of what is common practice. Sometimes, there is the fear that you may take a risk, but the risk can be controlled. I'll give you an example. Pre-investment, for instance. You may even decide to do investment before the FID, which is a contradiction because it's a final investment decision, but you're spending money before. It seems to be a contradiction, but it's not, if you control the risk and you know how to do it. For instance, we have done something which has accelerated a lot our project was the in-house feed, which we have performed, but we didn't do it alone. I mean, we did together with the team of SKK Migas on a daily basis. So each time a package was ready, they were approving simultaneously. So that's another thing. So there are many ways which you can put in parallel things. Think out of the common practice. Yes, sometimes you may take some risk as far as the company can support it or its control risk, why not? And it leads to a saving of a lot of time, and especially because it's not really the execution phase itself. Execution phase is dictated by many other things. But all the time we consume in order to prepare the engineering, the tender, the authorization, the permit, that's something very long. I mean, we made an evaluation, just with the plan of development, we saved at least 1 year. With the pre-investment, we saved at least another year. Because you may be able to place long lead item order before the normal time. So that's the way we are doing. Actually, we just even recently had a success. We put in production a field on 11th of May. And again, it was just 2 years after FID, so perfect on time. We are now in execution phase with a new field called Maha, which will be in production August next year, so it's very fast. And of course, we are moving in parallel with the big project, which all of them are on stream. Yes, maybe we lost 3 or 4 months compared to our mind, but still is a great success. Is this enough? No. Do we need more support? Yes. Do we need to give more? Yes. But I think it's a good way forward. And again, there are some things which, together with SKK Migas and Migas, we can really structure for the benefit of everybody in order to speed up the project.
I think it's great that you're sort of setting the standard or the expectation there, and you're working with the authorities to make it happen. And I think your point, it's possible, is a great sort of attitude to take into things going forward.
Let me tell you something. About 2 years ago, no, less than 2 years, 15 months ago, we had a meeting in Milan, actually, with SKK Migas, with the minister and so on. And it was immediately after the discovery of the Gang Nord, and we set up a plan which was extremely aggressive. We presented to the minister, to our management, of course. And trust me, we were presented that plan, and I wasn't sure we could make it. And no one was sure we could make it. And surprisingly, with SKK Migas, after 6 months, 10 months, we said, hey, we did it. So again, but there was a lot of willingness to do that. In my view, this can be structured.
Mm-hmm. So that sort of willingness to make things happen is key. Before we maybe take some questions from the audience, I want to touch on perhaps maybe something that's more of a longer term opportunity for Indonesia. And I'd like to come to you again, Kathy, in terms of CCS. It's a big part of what you're doing at Tangguh. I'd be interested to hear, what elements are in place to help you sanction that sort of CCS project with more confidence, but also, how do you see CCS developing as a bigger opportunity for Indonesia in the long term?
Yeah. Hello, yeah. So as we move forward to deliver energy security, decarbonization in sustainability is equally important. Yeah. So we view Indonesia has significant potential, especially in the regional Asia market. There are a lot of countries. They're CO2 heavy, and they're very interested to evaluate and partner with Indonesia, where Indonesia has significant potential to build itself into a regional CCS hub. Yeah. So what does it take? I think for us, Tangguh, in the National Strategic Project we FID last year, one component of that is CCUS, and is to start from decarbonization of our own operation to store the CO2, inject the CO2 from the reservoir back into the formation. At the same time, using technology to use the CO2 as a lift mechanism to enhance gas recovery. So Wang, Petrochina talked about EOR, which is enhanced oil recovery, and at Tangguh, we're going to do our first, I believe, Indonesia's first at-scale deployment of enhanced gas recovery. Yeah. So, of course, this is also a long-term business, and we need to a long-term opportunity. So we need to overcome lots of challenges in the very initial stage. And if we look at CCS value chain from capture to transportation to storage, and of course before storage injection, it's a high cost value chain. At the same time, it is very important, has a very important role to play in terms of decarbonization, in terms of jobs, in terms of realizing Indonesia's potential, not just in oil and gas sector, but also in decarbonization for the region. Yeah, so we're very much progressing the FID UCC project forward and to deploy the CCUS project to decarbonize. Government support is hugely important, especially in the very initial stage. Macro things such as CCS scheme, carbon pricing, and specifically if it's cross-border, G2G, government-to-government collaboration, government-to-government agreements, which set a very important framework for the commercial arrangement. All of these are very necessary steps for Indonesia over the long term to build itself up as a regional CCS leader.
Thanks, Kathy. I think now we'll take some time to take some questions from the audience. So the first question that has come in, and maybe I will split this between Pak Yuzaini and Adnan in terms of when you're looking at competitiveness around the region, how does your companies respectively view Indonesia's attractiveness when you consider the fiscal terms, the policies that are in place, and also I guess the resource challenges or the relative prospectivity? Pak Yuzaini, Adnan?
Yeah, maybe I can. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So we consider Indonesia is a very attractive place, and also very competitive. If you look to the demand growth, for example, they have a very strong aspirations to double their gas productions by 2030. Currently, we're talking about 6+ PCF per day, and by 2030 they are targeting 12 BCF, and this is very competitive and also provide opportunities to everyone to play a critical role in this beautiful journey. And also, if you look to the populations growth expected to increase by 15% from 285 million to 325 millions by 2045, and this will require for sure a supply to the power in order really to compensate this kind of increase, and it requires everyone's efforts. And the other thing is regulatory supportive framework. If you look to the gross split improved terms and how is the regulator is working closely with the operator in order to incentivize and accelerate a project. This is very, very important. And this is something we are experiencing as we speak and as we are advancing the development of the Andaman. Andaman is a deep water and limited available infrastructure, but we are working closely with the government to find mutual solutions to progress the developments. The last thing is the energy transition plan that the country has in place to achieve net zero by 2060. This is again very ambitious target, and we believe also gas will play a vital role in this energy transition, as well as also the other kind of sources like the solar, geothermal, and also CCS and CCUS kind of projects.
Yuzaini?
Thank you. So, in terms of attractiveness, right, of the country, and if you attended IPA last year during my speech, in the opening speech, and also during my panel session, I highlighted where Indonesia is last year. So we have done a thorough analysis, I think year by year, and I have my BD team over there from HQ is evaluating the country and they're doing it every single day, every single month, and they get the feedback, analysis, research from all over the world, whether from the consultants, right? And also from the country heads, and also from any areas that input that they get. So far, we've seen that Indonesia has improved in terms of the ranking, in terms of fiscal term improvement. And I've mentioned it before in terms of why we are focusing on the frontier area, we are focusing on a lot of JSA in the eastern Indonesia, is because a lot of the fiscal term has improved. And we see, as Mr. Adnan mentioned about, if you believe in energy transition, if you believe that gas is the energy transition, you can see a lot of potential in Indonesia. And we need gas, not just in domestically, and you see that the Far East is screaming for gas, and now Europe as well. But one thing that is, this is not just the stakeholders, not just the government, is the operators, right? As what mentioned by Roberto, they are doing as much as they can. They are benchmark against themselves, how they can do it faster and faster and faster. But we, as the industry, we need to work together on how to make sure that the oil and gas feasibility or the projects in Indonesia can be expedited. We've seen a lot news nowadays about the ease of doing business. I think this is a key factor. From my experience for the last 3.5 years here, the ease of doing business is very, very important. And also the fiscal term or the contract sanctity. I think these are the two things that, in my observation, and I think in our Petronas as well, we look at this. Because we come and go, but we need to ensure that the focus area where we think that is the investment opportunity and also the key market, or we call it as a heartland, need to have a certainty, because we're doing business, or we enter into contract not just 10 or 15 years, we are doing it for 30, 35 years. So we need to ensure that what we endorse, FID of our project, will still remain the rest of our contract. I think that's very important. And we have the key players are here. We need to work together. And these are the things that can improve Indonesia up the scale in the attractivity in terms of investment.
Thank you. Thank you. We've got another question here. I think this one maybe sits with Mr. Wang. This is around, if you were to compare drilling a new well to add production versus perhaps working over a well or improving the recovery from an existing mature field, what one would be more sort of economical, which would generate more value? And I guess the opposite side to that question is which one is going to need more sort of fiscal support to make it work?
Yeah, this is a quite good question. So comparing the drilling new well to sustain the production with enhancing oil field production, yes. We believe in the traditional method, the drilling new well, especially the development well, is one of the main production increasing method. For enhanced oil production, that one needs a long-term investment, a huge investment. And the long-term, as I mentioned, that maybe need more commercial incentives. And currently we're doing like a trial in the chemical injection for the trial and closely monitoring the effect and the long-term. And if related to the short-term strategy, we believe that the development well drilling is one of the major methods. But anyway, if you do a development drilling, you have to just do the economic evaluation. More important, the geologist study. And we have said that we have to do a successful 2D and 3D seismic. You will better understand our underground potentials, like reserves. And also, we need the Indonesian to speed up the permit, a lot of these permit works, as well as just to trying to make the business more easier. And anyway, the Indonesians like the method currently we're using, not only for the drilling the new wells, also the EORs, and also all other methods I just mentioned in my previous speech. These are the methods we can use to improve the production. But anyway, drilling the new well is one of the short-term choice. And also this well, because we are confident in Indonesia's business. as well as at PetroChina, we see that just Indonesia holds a unique and strategic role in our global energy landscape, which rich in resources and backed by committed institutions and open to sustainable long-term partnership. So we are willing to not only short-term, but also long-term investment in Indonesia. Thank you.
I think the question of whether it's better to improve recovery from existing fields or to drill new wells, I mean, I think Indonesia needs all of it. I think that's the answer to the question in terms of which one is better. It's everything is better. And I think in Indonesia there's been a lot of focus on restarting old wells, idle wells, and the opportunity there to improve recovery and increase recovery. But I think given the scale of Indonesia's production targets, we also need the bigger, higher impact opportunities that the likes of Mubadala, PETRONAS, Eni are targeting. So I would say, it's not an either-or question, it's a we need it all kind of question. I think we've probably got time for one more question. This one has come in. Do we see an improvement in terms of the investment attractiveness in Indonesia? And if not, what critical things should we do to make it better? I think we've discussed a lot of the positive improvements that we've had, but maybe to sum things up, maybe we could go down the panel and what one thing do you think would help to make Indonesia a more attractive investment environment? I would say if you want to answer this first, then you've got a pick of answers. If you're going to go last, then you're going to be stuck, right? So who would like to answer that question first?
I would just like to make a reflection on the attractiveness and the fiscal regime, regulatory, and so on. Now, it's always difficult to say whether the fiscal terms or the ease of doing business, whether it's comparable to other countries, how is Indonesia positioning itself. It's quite difficult. But anyway, it is what it is. Sure can be improved. There are things, again, as I said before, which can be structured in order to facilitate the investment and development. But the reflection I want to do is, whatever system is in place today in Indonesia, to me it's reasonably good. But it's reasonably good, but it's not consistent with the target of the country. In terms of, if you want to keep, let's say, a steady situation or an increasing of production of 3-4% per year, whatever, it's fine. But if the target is 12 billion standard cubic feet a day and 1 million barrels, which means doubling production in 5 years, then you need to be ready to give out much more than that. So I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it's not consistent with the target. That's my reflection.
Pak Awang, you're going to chip in?
I think the governments and the regulators are doing fantastic to attract investors. So we have seen that, and we are feeling it as we speak. Maybe one area that it requires some attention is to work closely with the operator and to see what it takes in order to develop the discovered resources. Implementing a standards kind of fiscal terms across all discovered resources is a bit challenging, because the low-hanging fruits and simple development is already been done, majority of it, and now we are talking about deep water and some challenging type of development, which requires a close collaboration between the regulators and also the operators and partners to make it work. But all in all, I think the regulators and the government are doing fantastic. And hopefully more developments will come shortly. That's it. Thanks.
Awang, I think you want to jump in before someone steals your answer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. That the attractiveness, I'm pretty sure that recently there are many discoveries, big discoveries in Indonesia. That means that still attractive in Indonesia, but also the attractiveness that provided by government also recently is very good. For example, that government is very proactive and then very open to discuss in case we as operator need their support in terms of fiscal improvement. For example, that when we operate a major field that very challenging on cost for the development, the government is encourage us to talk with them to discuss what is the incentive, additional incentive that needed to develop that field. We experienced that in several in our field. So that means that some fields that previously we predict cannot be operated in, let's say this year, it can be still extended because of there are some improvement on fiscal from government. But again, that also still there are some improvement needed. As I mentioned before, that currently if we operate the oil and gas in Indonesia, we require to have it's around more than 100 permits. That's maybe again, as I mentioned before, that the responsibility to provide energy resilience not only from oil and gas sectors, but also must be supported by others. This is the one thing that hopefully that in the near future there will be simplification of regulatory and also permitting system, so that we can accelerate our development process from exploration to development, because of again that's the project is very sensitive on the time and also the price. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final words, Kathy?
Yeah, I think Awang mentioned about incentives. I will just say two things, which is you have heard consistently from the panel, my panel today. So I think first is the characteristics of our oil and gas business is high capital, high risk, and is long term. So to make a very important investment decision, we look at the investment outlook, and based upon the rate of return, the capital, the technology requirements, the risk level, we make that long-term investment decision. So it's very, very important for the stability of the policies. Yeah. So if a regulation or a policy comes in at the very beginning of such evaluation, before the investors make the investment decision, that's fine, because we're going to incorporate that into our decision making. But when the projects are already in execution, that level to tolerate the such changes would be much lower. Yeah. So this is where all of the countries are in competition in terms of capital. I think from a cycle time standpoint, speed has a direct impact to the business, because the characteristics is you make the investment first and production comes on years later. So the second point is really we are working to improve is the ease of doing business, because big rules are very important. Some of these rules are very low level and they may not be really, they maybe should be evaluated, and if they slowing us down, so to speak, then that will have a direct negative impact to the rate of return. Yeah, so I think investors are looking for a competitive rate of return, and investors are looking for the certainty of that return over a very long time horizon, where we put in significant investments, take on significant risk, and invest in technology, in people. So to summarize it, sanctity of contracts and ease of doing business are hugely important.
Okay, if you don't mind, I just want to add into that. Actually, I answered about the incentive and fiscal term and ease of doing business, right? In order to improve attractiveness of the country in terms of investment. I think just looking at some of the examples that are happening right now. So we see that a lot of the company now coming back to Indonesia. You know, you have that dry periods where a lot of people getting out from Indonesia, looking at the other countries that is more attractive. And now we're seeing a lot of companies that was here before and now coming back, and now they're looking at all these opportunities coming in. This is the best time and opportunity for the stakeholders, especially the government and also the agency that is related to the oil and gas industry. So we need to work together with the operators, with the industry in terms of being more open to change certain things that maybe in their mind is a zero-sum game. It's either the investor will win or the government will lose. It cannot be that way because the investor will bring in the multiplier effects. Every project that's coming in into Indonesia means the whole sector, the whole supply chains will benefit from it. It's not just the operators, the investors. It's going to be the host authority so because of the incentive, or I mean the revenue that given to the government, and also the business owners, right, and the society, the community around that, because the projects and all things that happen, whether it's at the location of the operation or either the fabrication yard in Batam, Cilegon, or whatever is it, and also the whole supply chains. And this require both parties to be more open. We need to act fast, and by changing regulation and do it very fast, you can see that a lot of improvement that can happen. And it's not just talking. It have to be compounded with action, and action need to be fast. And there's a lot of investors coming in and screaming for help, support from the agency and the stakeholders, and we need help in order for us to meet the production, whether it's 1 million barrel per day, whether it's 12 BCF per day. We need to increase the production of Indonesia's. And we know that the domestic demand needs it. And I think that's what the whole stakeholders need to do together. Thank you.
I think that is a sort of great point to conclude our discussion on. I think we've heard a lot about, you know, the hard work that has been done to get to Indonesia to where it is today. But that doesn't mean that the hard work stops. The hard work needs to continue if Indonesia is to remain competitive and continue to attract investment. We do see Indonesia as back on the map as an exploration destination. We see the world's largest oil and gas companies looking to come back to Indonesia, and we see a lot of sort of positive progress and a lot of opportunities for Indonesia to capitalize on over the coming years. But we can't stop there. We need to keep going. We need to keep pushing and maintain this momentum. So I'd like to thank everybody on the panel for your insights, for your contribution this afternoon. I'd like to wish everyone a happy conference for the rest of the week, and I'd like to thank you all for coming along and listening to what the esteemed panelists have shared with us today. Thank you.
Mr. Andrew Harwood, thank you so much for have led the moderated session on a very, very intriguing topic as well. Would like to thank moderator and all speakers. Could you please stand up, because we would like to deliver memento from the IPA board members. Would like to invite Ibu Carol Gal and Mr. Kevin Moore to come forward and present the mementos to all the speakers as well as moderator for the session. Very fruitful discussion as well on how Indonesia could be more competitive in the global energy supply chain, as well as the investment scene through regulatory and business environment improvements, innovative approaches, and we have heard as well some reflective discussion and honest as well as actionable insights from the industry leaders for Indonesia. And just very in time as well, as Indonesia is a country with resource potential, located in a fast-growing region of Asia where energy demand will only increase in the coming future, and energy will remain as one of the growth engine as the country aims to achieve high economic growth as stipulated in President Prabowo Subianto's Asta Cita. And yes, Here are the mementos to all of the speakers as well as moderator. And let's use this opportunity for a photo session as well together. Don't forget to smile and face the camera in 3, 2, 1. One more time in 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you very much once again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give a big round of applause for all speakers, moderator, for such a valuable and insightful discussion on the first plenary session today. And all speakers, moderator, as well as Mr. Kevin Moore and Ibu Carol, you may return to your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen and participants, we do hope that you stay here at Nusantara Hall, because after this, we will have one of the most anticipated sessions, which is the Global Executive Talk. And we do thank as well your participation, especially in the question and answer session, to all speakers today. We do hope that the insight shared will further inspire collaboration and strategic direction in advancing Indonesia's energy sector. And right away, we will start a session titled Balancing Risk and Opportunities in Global Energy Portfolio.